What's up, Main Street? Welcome back, I guess. It's my first time doing this, especially over video, so it's a little weird. But so first off, I just want to say I miss and love all you guys. It's been a long while since we've had a little bit of normalcy here. I miss seeing all your faces at church and youth group. I hope you guys are having a good start to your summer. I know a lot of you guys got out this past week. Seniors, congrats on graduating. I know a lot of you guys had your graduation ceremonies over the past couple weeks. That's great. I know it's probably a very different ceremony than what you expected growing up, but your accomplishments are the exact same still. So I'm very proud of all you guys for what you've done. Last week, Brian kicked off a new series called Origin Story. Talking about, superheroes, talking about Marvel superheroes and everything like that. So I'm going to start off today. Brian talked about his favorite superhero, Wolverine. I'm just going to say my favorite, Spider-Man. I love the Marvel movies. I think they're great. I spent wasted a lot of time on them over the years. So my favorite Spider-Man because he's a young kid, very awkward at times. He's just a normal teenager, normal human being with, these cool superpowers and, get his spider suit, all that good stuff. And I love Spider-Man because he's just a sponge. He's always just taken in from Tony Stark. Iron Man's always been his mentor throughout this whole thing. And he's just constantly just taking in knowledge from everyone around him. He just wants to do good. And that's just why I love the dude. Like, he's just one of my favorites. I know he's a lot of people's favorites, but that's just for me. So constantly in superhero movies, Avengers movies, Marvel movies, and anything, they're saving the world. They're saving hundreds, thousands, millions of lives. Some of the latest Marvel movies are saving aliens' lives too, It's just, that's what they do, And you make that analogy with Jesus. Jesus is saving the entire world too. On a real life note, not in a box office movie. So Jesus, he saved the whole world. He died for us. He gave us the life that we don't deserve. And along with that, he did a lot more than that. Jesus showed heroic love, kindness, care to a lot of specific people throughout the Bible, obviously, especially in the Gospels. And then he told us to do the exact same. So I'm going to start today, John 13, verses 1 through 17. I'm not going to fully read the whole thing, so I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. So John 13, verses 1 through 17. So this is right before Jesus was arrested and sentenced to death. This was his last supper. I'm sure you guys have heard of it like that. So just starting in verse 1, it says, "Before the Passover celebration, Jesus knew that this hour had come to leave this world and return to his Father. He had loved his disciples during his ministry on earth, and now he loved them to the very end." So jump down to verse 4. Is during their dinner, so he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around them. Isn't that weird? You're just having dinner, and he's just like, I'm just gonna wash their feet, So that's really cool to me because, they didn't have shoes then. They were walking on dirt, muddy roads, all kinds of dirt, dust, even animal droppings. You know how gross animal poop is on your shoes. Imagine it on your bare feet. Sorry, feet are gross in general, But we get to wear shoes they didn't. So that was disgusting, first off. And next, it's just, Jesus was the King of Kings. He was the Savior of the world. These are just people that follow him. These are just human beings that they follow Jesus. That's all they really did. They didn't deserve to have their feet washed by Jesus, but he did it anyway. That's the way he showed his love and care for them. So what's amazing about this all is that Jesus, he knew he was going to die. Throughout the book of Matthew, the first gospel, he predicted his death 3 different times. I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 16, verse 21. It says, "From then on, Jesus began to tell his disciples plainly that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem, that he would suffer many terrible things at the hands of the elders, the leading priests, and the teachers of religious law. He'd be killed, but on the third day, he would be raised from the dead. So that's the first time. The other two times come in chapter 17 and chapter 20 of Matthew. So he knew he was going to die, and I think there's a cool exchange. So after that verse in Matthew 16, Peter, one of his disciples, said, "Heaven forbid, Lord, this is never going to happen to you." And Jesus turned to him and basically said, "Stop, Satan." He's like, "You're a trap. You are seeing things merely from a human point of view and not from God's." So I think that's cool because back to John 13, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. Back to John 13, Peter, says, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus said, "You don't understand now what I am doing, but someday you will." I'm sure you guys have heard that verse before. And Peter said, "No." It says he protested, "You will never, ever wash my feet." And Jesus said back to him, "Unless I washed you, you won't belong to me." So back to Simon Peter, he says, "Then wash my hands and head as well, Lord, not just my feet." It's just like, just wash my whole body. Why do you need to just wash my feet? And Jesus replied, "A person who has bathed all over does not need to wash, except for the feet, to be entirely clean. And you disciples are clean, but not all of you." For Jesus knew who would betray him. That is what he meant when he said, "Not all of you are clean." So this is kind of building up. Like Jesus is saying, one of you guys is going to screw me over. Can I say that? I hope I can say that. One of you guys is going to get me arrested and killed. But I'm still going to show you love right now. I'm going to wash your nasty feet. And also, later on, Peter ends up denying Jesus 3 times, which he also predicted before the fact. So it's just like, Peter tells him, "Jesus, you're not going to die. Like, what are you talking about?" And then Jesus washes his feet. And he says, "Yo, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. That comes later on in John. And then he does it. Peter does it. He denies him 3 times, just like Jesus predicted. And that's just crazy to me. Like, who would do that? Judas gets him killed, arrested, killed, beat to death. He's got nails in his hands and feet. Like, that's crazy to me. Who would do that? Jesus. Jesus would. And so I guess we'll move on a little bit. That was just Jesus showing his act of love. Jesus could have easily just said, "I'm going to save you guys. I'm going to die for you guys anyway." He knew it was coming. But he continuously helped people, showed love to people that didn't deserve it. He raised people from the dead. You can just go along. I've got subheadings in my Bible. It's just, you'll see Jesus heals a demon-possessed boy. Jesus, he raised Lazarus from the dead. He's constantly teaching, telling all these parables that are still relevant today. He didn't have to do all that stuff, but he did. He consistently, constantly showed love to us, and that's absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna go down a little bit farther in John 13. So we just finished up about verse 17-ish. We're gonna go to verses 34 and 35. So Jesus says, "So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples." Just think about that for a hot second. I know you guys will talk about it in your I teams. He's saying, I loved you guys. Do the same. Jesus didn't just teach love and care. He gave it. He showed it. He constantly did this stuff on earth. He had a very short time on earth. He showed these things to us, and it's just, we have all this proof of how amazing he was on this planet. So again, he did all this stuff knowing he was going to die, knowing he was going to get hurt. But he did it all out of love for people like you and me. Isn't that just beautiful, right? So, like Brian said last week, it's just, we're here to save lives. And I really don't think a lot of us are ever going to have to lay down our lives for someone else, but we can save those lives by loving and caring for others like Jesus did. He gave us so many examples to follow. So in my life, in high school mainly, I was one of the few people that like I called myself a Christian, and I'm sure some of you guys might be in that same boat, and it's just very difficult to kind of know that you're different and kind of just deal with that in certain ways. So knowing that like I kind of have a different perspective on life, I know a lot of people knew that about me. I was usually the go-to for advice on, whether that's relationships, whether that's just needing help in certain situations, dealing with a problem with a friend. Like, people would come to me for advice. And it's just, it wouldn't be something I'd want to do all the time. I didn't necessarily love being that person, but Jesus died for me. I don't got to do that for people. I'm never, Jesus is a savior. He saved us. He gave us the life that we have. So what am I to just spend 10, 15 minutes talking to someone to, maybe help them out a little bit? It's just, I know a lot of you guys have had friends that have gone through breakups. It's high school. You know how that stuff goes. Be there for them. Be there, shoulder to cry on. Be there, just, maybe you want to take them out just to hang out with them. Things might be hard to do right now because, this coronavirus stuff is still scary and still kind of has a hold on some things right now. But it's just, that was me in high school. It's just, I couldn't get enough of it because it's just, I knew Jesus is my hero. I can do these little things for people. I feel like I might be fulfilling what God wants me to do. And it's just, God's decision to love me sacrificially reminds me to love others unconditionally. I think that's a good line that I've heard from people in the past. God's decision to love me sacrificially reminds me to love others unconditionally. God sacrificed His Son for us. So why can't I just love someone unconditionally back? Give them what they need, help them out, maybe buy them lunch, maybe they're short on something, maybe they ran out of money, lunch money, something like that, The love we're talking about isn't about just buying something for someone, here's a gift, I mean Jesus to you, here's something. It's deeper than that. It's about sacrificing a little bit. Jesus didn't care for people to be flashy or to show off, yo, what's up? I'm great. He cared for people to show them the depth of His love. He didn't hold back His kindness until He had a crowd to watch Him or someone to take a video of it on social media. Obviously, it wasn't a thing back then. But He cared for people in front of Him, right in front of Him. No agenda, no crowd, no reward, no recognition. So the way Jesus heroically cared for people in front of Him, He wants us to do the exact same, like it says in John 13:34-35. Heroes care for the people in front of them no matter what the circumstances, whether there's a crowd or not. So some of you guys might be wondering, what do I do from here? Can I really make that big of an impact doing little things? Yes, you can. So what does that look like for us? This is kind of supposed to be like an activity. I guess you guys can discuss this in iTeams. So what are some places you guys normally go to, in real life? Obviously school just got out. The only main thing to do right now is going to parks and stuff like that, walking around, doing little photo shoots, whatever. Eventually Cedar Point's going to open, eventually movie theaters, every restaurant's going to be open at some point. So what can I do in those places? So here's a couple things. Just smile at someone. It can be that easy. Don't be weird about it. Please don't be weird about it. That might do the opposite of what you're trying to do, but just a smile at someone could change someone's day. Reach out to people you might not normally reach out to. Hey, how's your day going? Or, how you doing? You happy? Just ask them questions. Talk to them. Be intentional. If someone's short on something, if someone just needs something desperately, something small, I don't remember, an example would be in class if someone doesn't have a pencil in front of you. Here's a pencil. Here you go. It can be that simple. Ask Ask people about themselves, ask people about their days, like I already said. Just pay attention to how others are feeling. Know what you can do to help them and change that, you know? Someone's not having a good day, you know, maybe they just need a good laugh. Maybe they just, you know, kind of need some alone time. Maybe, you know, just help in whatever way you can. So, a couple of basic things you can do about caring for the people in front of you. There's 4 words that come to mind. So it is awareness, listening, interpretation, sensitivity. Those 4. So basic, you know, definitions, I guess. So awareness, know who you're talking to, know their situation. Pay attention to their emotions. You can usually read people how they're feeling just based off their facial expressions or how they're kind of going about things. Be aware. Listening. I'm one of the weirdest people to make eye contact with. I hate direct eye contact. It makes me so uncomfortable sometimes. Not saying you have to do that to be a good listener, but it truly shows like I'm listening to you, I'm understanding what you're saying. It matters to me. Next, interpretation. We have to think about what we say. Some people might take things we say in different ways. What I might say to one of my best friends could be 100% a joke. Someone who maybe I haven't talked to in a couple months might take that as, oh, that was rude, or why would you say that? You know, things like that for interpretation. And then sensitivity, just kind of be open to other people's experiences. There's been some people that have been through some rough stuff. And some of us won't fully understand those things. So just be understanding. Don't that doesn't they're soft for that, stuff like that. That was always a thing in high school. They're soft. You don't know how people feel about things. You don't know how people cope with certain things, deal with certain things. So just be sensitive. Don't just assume you know how that person feels. So they're just I feel like those kind of go along with basic friendships type of thing. So I guess my question for you guys, finish up here. What are you guys going to do this week? How are you going to impact some lives? And so I just finished up reading the book of Proverbs. I'm just going to kind of end on this. So Proverbs 3:28 in the NLT translation, it says, if you can help your neighbor right now, don't say, come back tomorrow and then I'll help you. We all have the ability to help people out now. If there's something you can do for someone today, do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Situations change every single day. You never know how they're going to change. So just be a light to someone. We've been saying this for months, be the church. So I just want to challenge you guys with that today. Hope you guys have a good I-Team talk. If anyone wants to have a further discussion with me, reach out. I'm sure someone can get a hold of me if you don't have my number or anything like that. I guess that's how I want to finish out today. So cool, guys. Have a good week. Love you guys.